Hello and welcome to FTTR. I'm Hugh McQuaid, and it is that time of the week. It is that time for NWA Power Surge review time. Let's go with that. So, if you haven't watched these before, this is me basically giving a rundown of the show, NWA Power Surge and NWA Power, usually on a Wednesdays. And this is the Go Home Power Show, Power Surge. We had the Go Home Power last week. We have the Go Home Power Surge this week. So, shall we just get right into it and what I thought about the show? Let's start off with the intro. We had a nice little intro, captivating. Oh, sorry, my notes have fell. Just recapping sort of what's happened and what is coming up on the show. And we started off with a Camille interview. Now, Camille will be challenging Serena Deeb at When Our Shadows Fall this Sunday. And this was a really lengthy, really in-depth interview about the women's division, about how Camille feels in the women's division, and about how she feels in Strictly Business. And the main takeaway from this for me was that May Valentine was just sort of sowing the seeds of a Strictly Business dissension kind of thing. This happened in this interview, and it happened in a later interview as well, where her questions were directly asked about Nick Aldis and his position in the faction. I think Camille is going to have a really good match this Sunday against Serena Deeb. The only issue I found so far is that I'm not really sure why Camille's getting the title shot unless I missed something, because it went to a time limit draw last week. So yeah, I'm a bit confused about that. They didn't seem to address it that much. They just sort of went into saying that, oh, Camille's facing Serena Deeb. That was a bit weird for me. I might have missed something. It is me. But other than that, I thought she was a really good promo. She did really well in the amount of time she was given, because this was a lengthy promo. A lot of the promos on this show were very, very lengthy. And she just sold the match, to be honest. Serena Deeb had a really great match against Riho at AEW Double or Nothing. So maybe this could also be as good. I'm really excited for this match. I think it'll be cracking, to say the least. Next up, we got a William Corgan interview, the owner of NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. This was the first two interviews that he gave on the show, and he talked about the inclusivity of NWA, and this all circled back to Trevor Murdoch, who has been positioned as, this sort of really rotten babyface by Nick Aldis. He just doesn't seem worthy of being championship material. And in this interview, Corgan basically said that Murdoch is nearly the definition of championship material. He addressed the fact that both Aldis and Murdoch were trained by Harley Race and the lineage of the NWA Championship in general. And this was really good. It was a really good interview. It really set the stage for that match. I think it's probably my most anticipated match on the card. I think the build's been really, really good for the Aldis Murdoch match, and this only made it gave it more of a sports feel, more so than a pro wrestling feel, which I think is good. This seems like it's going to be a really interesting clash. So no, nothing wrong with this segment whatsoever. Next up, we had the Tom Latimer and Camille sit-down interview. Now, I didn't feel like this gave as much new as the Camille interview did before. I feel like this maybe could have been trimmed down a little bit. Tom Latimer didn't have that much insight. He basically said the same thing of what Camille said about the dissension in Strictly Business. There doesn't seem to be any. However, I just felt it was a little bit unnecessary, this one. I feel like it dragged a little bit. Don't really see the need for the two. I like the pair of them together, but again, I don't feel like it had a place on the show. They didn't really say anything new other than slightly addressing the Tag Team Championship match at When Our Shadows Fall. But there was nothing really of note to me personally from this segment. I could take or leave it. Next up, we had the Spotlight match. Tim Storm and Sal Rinauro took on, and I've had to write this down because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce it right, Hawks Airy, which I believe is a father-son duo. This was a really nice Spotlight match. Tim Storm and Sal looked great, and they had a really good dynamic within the match. Didn't go particularly long, but the main takeaway from this is that it looks like Tim and Sal are now officially a team, which is always nice. Can't say no to a new tag team, especially one that they're just nice, aren't they? They're just cute, Tim Storm and Sal. And it was a good match. The other team were really good, Hawks Airy. He had a few spots, but yeah, there was nothing really noteworthy this match other than the Sal Tim stuff, which again is very good. Can't complain. Next up, we had just a recap of last week's NWA Power. We got all the key spots. We got Trevor Murdoch winning the Battle Royal. We got the time limit draw, which again sort of seems a bit weird that they've not addressed the time limit draw. It's just been Camille. Maybe it's just me again. But they addressed all that stuff. They just showed what happened last week. Can't complain if you haven't watched that NWA Power. It was a serviceable recap. Yeah. And finally, well, not finally, second to lastly, we had a very, very lengthy Nick Aldis promo. Now, Nick Aldis is probably my favourite promo, aside from maybe Eddie Kingston. It used to be Cody until that promo. Nick Aldis is really, really good at cutting promos. Just the way he talks, the way he delivers metaphors, the way he can, I don't know if he scripts it or not, but he can just come up with absolute gold and just spin it again and again and again. And his rapport with May Valentine was also outstanding. He basically just talked about how Trevor Murdoch, and sort of how the backstage shenanigans. Nick Aldis seems to be becoming more paranoid that things are working against him and Strictly Business. I'm wondering if if he is going to become more unhinged as time goes on. But Nick Aldis is just incredible. He is an incredible promo, and he's working this match incredibly. This Trevor Murdoch feud is just, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm absolutely hyped for this match. And this promo really sold me on it. More so than the Camille match and the Serena Deeb promo at the beginning. Nick Aldis is just on another level with his talking. Yeah, Nick Aldis, 5 out of 5. Absolutely 5 out of 5 there. And lastly, we got another William Corgan interview. And again, he didn't really add much new. He more so talked about the other matches on the card, like the tag team match and the women's championship match. And he just put them over really well. He put over everyone involved in those matches really well. So I can't floor him at all. And I like how he brings in sort of like the historical significance of stuff. That's always nice. Adds a nice wrinkle to things. And that's how we closed off the show. When Our Shadows Fall is this Sunday. And I thought this was a really good go-home Shockwave. So the second go-home show, kind of. I thought this was really good. I'll give it a solid 4 out of 5 just because I thought the match wasn't especially stand out to me. And I think that the Tom Latimer and the Camille together promo could have been trimmed down or cut entirely. So I'll give it a solid 4 out of 5. Let me know your thoughts on NWA Power, NWA When Our Shadows Fall, NWA Shockwave. What did you think of this show? Let me know down in the comments and I will try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support and have a nice day.